Hey guys, it is Noah and today I'll be teaching you guys how to do time-lapse. So what is a time-lapse? Time-lapse is either a video sped up or a sequence of photos strung together to show that time is passing by. So for example, something really boring like clouds would actually be rather interesting than sped up. Now there are two kinds of time-lapses. There's the video way and the photography way. The true way to do a time-lapse is by taking photos at certain intervals, and that's the method I'll be showing you today. Now if you're wondering how to do a video time-lapse, well, press record, wait there for 12 minutes, then speed up your footage in post, and voila, you're done. So what you'll need for your photography time-lapse is a tripod, a USB to mini USB cable, a camera, and a laptop. Now keep in mind throughout this tutorial that this is how I do my time-lapses. You don't have to do your time-lapses like this, but I just found that this is the best way to do them as a low-budget filmmaker. So step one is finding your location. You want to find locations with a lot of movement so it'll be visually interesting when we speed up the footage or string all our pictures together. So as you can see, I picked an area with cars and clouds so I know when I put it in post it's going to look really interesting. What you don't want to do is pick an area that has little to no movement, because then your time-lapse will not be interesting whatsoever. So the next step is set up your tripod, put your camera on it. If you don't have a tripod, put it on something where your camera won't move at all. You want the most stable shot possible you can, so when you put everything together, it's not shaking or anything like that. So bottom line, make sure your camera is stable and not moving. As I mentioned before, the photography time-lapse is taking a bunch of photos, stringing them all together, and then making a video, kind of like a stop motion, so to speak. So what we need to do now is make our camera take a photo every 5 to 10 seconds about. However, the Canon camera does not have an interval option built in, which is why we need a laptop. To get this feature, you're going to need to download a program for your Canon camera called the EOS Utility. So with this program, you're able to control your interval and all these settings, which is why we're using it and why we need a laptop for this tutorial. For the settings on our camera, we're basically going to want everything to be on manual mode, so that when we bring all our pictures together, nothing's different and they're all pretty uniform and the same to each other. You're going to want to change automatic white balance to a manual one, so pick the corresponding white balance to the situation you're in. In this case, I'm in daylight, so I'll make my white balance daylight. So the next thing, which is probably the most important thing, is the shutter speed. Now, I tested a bunch of methods, as you can see. I tested 1/800th, 1/400th, 1/30th, 3-second open shutter, and there's a bunch of different cool results that you get from these. So I personally find that the middle ground between all of these, which is perfect, is a 1-second open shutter. Now you don't have to make this yours, you can pick whatever one you'd like, but this is just my personal preference and I think you get the best results from it. You're also going to want to change the aspect ratio on your camera. The default aspect ratio for taking pictures is 4:3. We're going to want to change that to 16:9 because that's the standard video size. If you don't change it, the 4:3 aspect ratio will give you black bars on the side of your screen, which is not what you want. You want the widescreen 16:9, which is standard for 1080p and 720p when you're watching a YouTube video or something like that. Bottom line is just make sure your aspect ratio is at 16:9. So the last thing you're going to want to do is turn your autofocus off and make it manual focus, so that in each shot everything is uniform and doesn't change, because if you leave your autofocus on, the focus will be different in every single picture, kind of like the same idea for the white balance, which is why we just want everything to be the same and equal, so when we put it in post, everything looks perfect like one smooth long video. So once you set your shutter to what you want and you've made everything basically manual, you can go ahead and plug your USB to mini USB from your camera to your laptop and open the EOS Utility app. First you want to click on this little folder icon, and then you're going to want to set a destination for your photos to go to. I usually like to create a little folder so that all my photos go there and stay in one place. Now the great thing about this is that you don't actually need a USB card because all the photos are going onto your computer, so your computer is acting like a giant SD card. So the next thing that you want to do is click on this little clock icon right here, and then this window will pop up. For a smoother time-lapse, I usually set my interval to 5 seconds and my camera takes a picture every 5 seconds. The next thing you want to do is set the amount of pictures that you want your camera to take. So here's where we use a map to figure out how long our video will actually be in the end when we finish taking all our photos. So each second in video is comprised of 24 pictures, so let's say we take 200 pictures. We do 200 divided by 24, which equals 8.3. So if we take 200 pictures and then we piece them all together in the end, we'll have an 8-second long video. So we can take this math actually a little bit further to figure out how long we'll be waiting until our time-lapse finishes. So if we're taking a photo every 5 seconds and we're taking a total of 200 pictures, then we'd do 200 times 5, which equals 1,000. So 1,000 seconds, and we just divide that by 60 because there's 60 seconds in 1 minute, and then we get 16.6. So we'll be waiting around 17 minutes for a time-lapse to finish. So to summarize everything I just said, we'll be taking 200 photos every 5 seconds, which will give us 8 seconds of footage, and we'll be waiting about 17 minutes for a whole time-lapse to finish. Grab a book or play an iPhone game, because it's going to be a long day if you plan on getting a bunch of different time-lapse locations around your city. After taking all your photos, just bring them into your editing software of choice. Mine is Final Cut Pro 10. So first I put all my photos into the timeline, then I select all of them, and then I create a new composition. And then I adjust the speed of my comp until it's 8 seconds long, just like I did in my calculations. Then I throw on some optical flow so I can blend my frames and pictures a little better together. And then I color grade the video to what I want, and then I let it render, and then voila, there's my time-lapse. Now, doing a time-lapse is a very lengthy process. You need a lot of patience and a lot of waiting around all day to what might only be a minute-long videos. So if you want like a 5-minute long time-lapse video with like 20 different angles, it could take you up to 3 days to do. I hope this tutorial really helped you guys out on how to do this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.